The Menendez brothers' mansion in Beverly Hills is lucky not to lose any value because of the murders that happen inside. To explain that to you though, I first have to explain how much property values drop after a murder and why. My name is Arvin Haddad. I'm the How to Buy a Mansion guy. I critique mansions. This is what I do. You see, we consider our homes a sacred place, a sanctuary, a place where we are protected and sheltered from the outside world, a place where we feel like we are in control. But when a really bad event like a murder happens in our property, that illusion of protection and control is immediately shattered. And for that reason, home values after a murder happens in them drop by 10 to 25% immediately, and there's a lingering effect of 5 to 7 years and even longer if it was a high-profile murder. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever had your house or your car burglarized? How did you feel? Did you feel like you were violated? Did you feel like the house betrayed you? Like, did you actually take it personally with the house? Did you feel the same way you did about your house after the event? I bet you didn't. Now, I want to dig a little deeper on why this actually happens, because I don't think the house had anything to do with it. The house didn't commit the murders, right? Some human did. When you go back and think about it, what actually in our Homo sapien brains happened historically, why we get this primal feeling is really interesting. Back in the days, when a really, really bad event, let's say, happens in a cave or a shelter where humans stayed, there was a very good reason. Most probably, either other humans or other animals fancied that shelter and they wanted to move into that shelter to take it over for themselves. And that feeling that we get is, oh, this shelter is wanted by someone else. We are not safe here. It's because of the house. It's not because of the people. This place is really good that someone else wants it. Our primal brain associate the location as a place where we should stay away from. And the funniest thing is that we create a stigma about it. It's like the caveman walks out and tells other cavemen, hey, don't go in that cave. I found human skeletons in there. You see, there's a stigma with houses where bad events have happened to them. And it's not just by murders. It's by burglaries, divorces. When people find out about it, they tell each other. And the news covers it very vastly. And for that reason, it creates a stigma, a bad feeling, a bad label associated with that property. And we still to this day associate the physical place as if that emotion, juju, bad event, bad energy are still within the walls. When you actually logically think about it, no other human really wants to take over our house. But we get that 10,000, 20,000, 50,000-year-old emotion, boom, back in our brain. Now, here's the most interesting part to me. You ready for this? That feeling, that stigma, we only feel it and experience it only if we know those events happen. If no one told us, we wouldn't have any of those feelings. Now you're like, Arvin, no, I got sixth sense. Look, I respectfully disagree. Exhibit A. Nicole Brown Simpson in 1994 bought her Brentwood condo for $625,000. After her and Ron Goldman's murders, it was listed for $795,000 in 1995, but sold for $520,000 in 1996. Now, I have a lot of boomers, subscribers, and they're like raising their hands like, Arvin, there was a recession. I remember. Relax, calm down. I got you. Yeah, if you adjust for the property decreases that year, it should have sold for $610,000. There is a $90,000 gap because of the murders. But guess what? In 2006, with a very clever address change, it sold at market value for $1.72 million. So, my case, if you don't know about it, the stigma, the juju, doesn't occupy your brain, it doesn't matter. The property prices are not affected. You're like, duh, Arvin, I don't believe in ghosts. Really? Then why everyone acting like these properties are possessed? You're like, Arvin, you don't get it. I don't believe in ghosts. but my wife does. Hey, stop. Don't throw your wife under the bus. Stop it. Say I'm sorry. Give her a kiss right now. You see, the reason why I make this ghost joke, it has to do with the demand side of the supply and demand equation in a real estate transaction. Every community has a buyer pool that are interested to purchase properties in that geographical location. And statistically speaking, a buyer's pool's sexual orientation, religion, cultural belief, nationality, place of birth have a huge impact on how they feel about buying a house where a murder has happened inside. And these cultural differences are different in different buyer pools and different neighborhoods. For example, anybody in LA would tell you in Brentwood, where the Simpsons murder happened, had a completely different culture, community than Beverly Hills, where the Menendez murders happened. And to further demonstrate this extreme, I have to show you another crazy situation. Exhibit B, a case in Santa Clara involved a Google engineer who murdered his wife. But guess what? The home sold for $2.1 million above asking, line out the door in a bidding war. Look, in the Bay Area, statistically speaking, there's a lot less people believing in bad juju. They're more rational, spreadsheet data oriented. Now you're like, I always hated Bill Gates. Dude, Bill Gates had nothing to do with it. He doesn't even live in the Bay. He lives in Seattle. But you get my point. Cultural systems affect the buyer pool. Now, there are two reasons why I believe the value of our protagonist, Menendez family house, was not affected by the murders that happened there, because the property just switched hands in 2024. And importantly, the house pretty much looked the same as it did when the murders happened in there. It wasn't renovated, and it sold for $17 million. Now, based on these two sold comps, I believe it switched hand at fair market value without consideration that any murder ever happened in these properties. And I think there was two reasons for that. Reason number one, California Civil Code section 1710.2 only requires sellers to disclose a death on a property if it happened 3 years ago. And we know this death happened many, many years ago. So I highly doubt any real estate agent, the sellers, disclose that information to the new buyers before they purchase this property. Now you're thinking, Arvin, they didn't consult with you? No, they didn't. But don't worry, a lot of their neighbors have. Link is in the description. But more importantly, I think even if they knew this death, you remember that lingering effect? It would have had a tiny, tiny effect on their decision probably. What they didn't know, that Netflix was about to drop a mega blockbuster 9-episode series on their property. And the second reason is that I believe the local Beverly Hills buyers and sellers are very smart, very rational, and huge investors in commercial real estate. So they're very numbers oriented, Excel spreadsheet. And when they see a fair market value at a prime location in Beverly Hills Flats on a very good street, on a very good block, at market value, they jump on it. And they're either long-term buy and hold investors, and this property having had upside to it, it's even like cherry on top, or they're investors where they buy from other local sellers paying the local prices, but sell the investment property once they remodel it to the international buyers that come. Remember, Beverly Hills is a huge brand. A lot of wealthy people who move to Los Angeles, they don't want to move to just Los Angeles. They want to move to Beverly Hills. And they don't know the difference between the 500 block and the 700 block, Palm, Maple, Elm. They don't know the streets, right? So they make huge mistakes. So it is a savvy move if you know what you're doing. Now you're thinking, Arvin, forget about the Menendez house. I don't care if a murder happened in a property. Should I buy it? Look, you might not care, but most likely the person after you who's going to buy it from you will. So my recommendation to you is that pay as much as someone who cares that a murder happened in the property, then change the address, change the layout, especially the room where the murder happened in, and then sell it to someone who's not a subscriber to my channel. And if you want to know why this Japanese-inspired penthouse at 432 Park Avenue sold for half the price it was listed for, click right here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the comment section. Take care.